Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me? All of you, can you hear me? Yes, okay, fine. Okay, so we'll start. Only 12 are there. Join, rest others. Till that, all of you, yesterday we derived the torque expression, right? Okay. So torque depends on slip. We are going to see today torque slip characteristics. Okay. Uh, Up to this, we have seen everyone observe this torque slip characteristics. 1 minute will wait for others. Okay. Okay. So we'll start. Torque slip expression of torque yesterday we have derived. Okay. Uh, so see here, that is yesterday we have derived expression for torque. So in the torque expression, 3 divided by 2 pi ns is a constant parameter. Input side voltage we assume constant, means it is in practical all application constant. That's why E2 also will be constant. It's an induced EMF in rotor. Okay, so that also will be constant. Actually R2 and X2 are also constant parameters, because we neglect the effect of temperature on resistance. Again, reactance also we assume constant, but here plus S into X2 square. Okay, and here also R2 square. So that's why we'll assume this parameters right now. Okay, so what, after simplifying it, what we get, torque is directly proportional to S into R2 divided by denominator. Okay, as it is. Now, torque depends on slip or slip depends on torque? Yes. As you change load, speed changes. So if speed changes, slip will change. So observing this equation, what you can say, torque depends on slip or slip depends on torque? Yes. Are you listening me? Can you listen me? All of you listen me or not? Yes, okay. Torque depends on slip, right? Okay, torque depends on slip. That's why torque you have to take along y-axis and slip you have to take along x-axis. Okay, all of you can see torque along y-axis and slip along x-axis. Okay, now here if you observe, at start what is the speed? And what is the value of slip? Yes, the moment you switch on, that is at start, at standstill condition, what is the value of speed? Speed of rotor. Slip is 1 and speed of rotor, the 0. Very good. 38 roll number. Okay. So see, at start we all know speed of the moment you switch on means for few millisecond microsecond, speed of rotor is 0, slip is 1. Okay, so this is the value of slip at which it is 1. Okay, this one point. And it's a starting point, it's a starting point. That's why means here we are going to switch on the motor when S is 1. That's why whatever the torque respective to this slip is marked as starting torque. Okay, whatever the torque respective to this slip is marked as starting torque. All of you can observe this. Okay. Again, can N and NS be equal? Yes, N and NS both can be equal or not? No. Okay, very good. These cannot be equal. If both become equal, which is practically not possible. Why? Why practically N can never be equal to NS? Why? Why N is always less than NS? Why? Yes, why N is less than NS? Who can tell? Due to rotor inertia. Okay, due to rotor inertia, N is always less than NS. If both become equals, consider karo N and NS become equal, then what will be the value of slip? If N and NS become equal, what will be the value of slip? 0. Correct, which is not possible. If N and NS become equal, will there be EMF induced in rotor? S is 0, correct. Okay. Now, if N and NS become equal, then as per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, will any EMF get induced in rotor? No EMF get induced, means current flowing through rotor conductor immediately becomes 0. So, will any torque produced on rotor? Will any torque produced on rotor? No torque produced on rotor. Okay, so all of you can see when N become equal to NS, which is never possible, S is 0, at that moment torque is 0. Clear? Okay. Now, so this is the value of slip, which is 0, not possible for 3-phase induction motor, and this is value of slip 1. Okay, in this range, slip of induction motor changes. We have seen slip is not a constant parameter. As you go on changing load, speed changes, N, rotor speed changes, and that's why NS also changes. Okay, that's why NS also changes. Clear? Okay. Now we'll see whatever this slip, will divide it in two regions, low slip region and high slip region. So if you see this torque slip characteristics, this one is the maximum torque. Okay, that's why it is marked as T suffix M, which is a maximum torque. Maximum torque is also called as breakdown torque, pull out torque. So whatever the slip respective to this maximum torque is marked as S suffix M. Slip at maximum torque is marked as S suffix M. Okay. Now this S suffix M, actually when maximum torque will occur, this condition not there in your syllabus. This is just for your information. When this R2 and X2 both values are equal, then whatever the torque produced for a 3-phase induction motor is maximum. Okay. Condition for maximum torque for 3-phase induction motor is when rotor resistance and rotor reactance are equal, then that torque is called as maximum torque. Okay. So this part is not there in your syllabus. This is just for your information. Okay. Now here we'll divide the slip in two regions. So this is the slip at maximum torque. So this one is the region when slip is low, low slip region. And another region is high slip region. Okay, so we'll divide low slip region and high slip region. Now we'll observe the behavior of motor in low slip region. Okay, now here slip is low. If slip is less, S is already less, then S into x2, its square, will also be very, very less compared to R2 square. That's why in low slip region, we can neglect this parameter compared to R2 square. Okay, compared to R2 square, neglect it. So what will occur? R2 here in the numerator, R2 is there, in the denominator R2 square. So R2 will cancel. So what we'll get? Torque is directly proportional to S by R2. What we are assuming, R2 is constant because we are not going to consider the effect of temperature. So in low slip region, what we'll get? Yes, who can tell? Slip is very less. That's why S into x2 square will neglect compared to R2 square. So R2 will cancel. S by R2. So R2 again is constant. So what relationship between torque and slip we are getting in low slip region? Who can tell? What relationship we are getting in low slip region? Yes, who can tell? What relationship? It is directly proportional to slip. Very good. Okay, so in low slip region, all of you can see torque is directly proportional to slip. See here, in low slip region, S is very small. That's why S into x2 square very, very small. That's why what we'll get here, R2 by R2 square into S. This will cancel again, R2 constant. So what relationship we are getting? Torque is directly proportional to slip. Okay, so when slip value is low and you are loading motor, you go on increasing load on motor, what happens? See, as you go on increasing load on motor, what is expected? It should produce more torque or less torque? Yes, for increased load, motor should produce more torque or less torque? For increased load, motor should produce more torque, or increased load require more torque or less torque? Load is more, torque required is more. Okay, in every motor, more load requires more torque. Okay, so as you go on increasing load on motor, input voltage is constant, motor takes more and more current to produce more torque. Okay, so what happens here, as you increase load on motor, immediately its speed decreases. If speed decreases here, then what happens with slip? It will increase. And in low slip region, what relationship we are getting? Torque is directly proportional to slip. So slip is increasing, that's why torque also increases. Motor produces more torque in low slip region for increased load by taking more and more current from supply with constant supply voltage. Clear? Okay, so that's why you will get the graph like this. In low slip region, you go on increasing load on motor, speed decreases, slip increases, and that's why torque produced by motor increases. Okay, so linearly increasing. Then it reaches to maximum. Beyond this point, if you further load three-phase induction motor, next to it is a high slip region. So in this high slip region means slip is high. If slip is high, then what? If slip is high, then this one parameter S into x2 its square, its value will be very high compared to R2 square. That's why in high slip region, neglect R2 square, because compared to second one parameter, the first one R2 square is very, very less. So you can neglect it. If we are neglecting it, what we'll get? S into R2 divided by S square into x2 square. So SS will cancel. Again R2 and x2 constant parameter. So what relationship we are getting in high slip region? Yes. What relationship we are getting in high slip region? High slip region, R2 square we neglect. S into X2 its square. This one parameter we are going to consider. So in high slip region, what is the relationship we are getting between torque and slip? Who can tell? Inversely proportional. Very good. Inversely proportional to slip. Very good. Okay. So inversely proportional to slip, all of you can see in high slip region. See, in high slip region, S is high. So S into X2 square is more compared to that R2 square. So R2 square, if you neglect, you will get like this. So here S and S square. So SS will cancel. You will get 1 by S into R2 by X2 square. Again, R2 and X2 constant, so neglected. So what relationship we are getting in high slip region? Torque is inversely proportional to slip. That behavior is rectangular hyperbola. Now what occurs when three-phase induction motor, load on it, you are increasing continuously. If slip value is in low slip region, torque is directly proportional to slip. But if slip is in high slip region, then torque is inversely proportional to slip. So what is happening in high slip region? Once high slip region reaches and still you are increasing load on three-phase induction motor, what will occur? As you are increasing load, speed decreases. If speed decreases, then slip will increase. Slip is increasing inversely proportional to torque. That's why torque produced by motor decreases. Okay, torque produced by motor decreases. This process repeats. Okay, torque produced by motor decreases, and at one moment, what will occur? It don't produce any torque. As it don't produce any torque, means what? Immediately motor comes to at rest, means speed becomes 0, and if speed becomes 0 means it is S is 1. Clear to all of you? Torque slip characteristics clear? Low slip region and high slip region, mostly this question get asked. Explain or draw torque slip characteristics of three-phase induction motor. So clear to all of you? Torque formula you have to write. This is the relationship in low slip region. Torque is directly proportional to slip. So as you go on increasing load on motor, speed decreases, slip increases, directly proportional. That's why torque produced by motor increases. Once it reaches to high slip region and still load on motor you are increasing, in this region torque is inversely proportional to slip. That's why as you increase load, speed decreases, slip increases, torque starts to decrease. At one moment it will not produce any torque. As motor don't produce any torque means speed becomes 0, value of slip is 1. Clear? Okay. So in this graph, if you observe, O to A is called as stable region and A to B is called as unstable region. Now in stable region also O to A, O to C. What is the C point? It's a full load condition. Means maximum how much load you can put on it till full load. Maximum this much torque it can produce, but how much fully you can load it up to this point. What is its meaning? It does mean that O to C, up to this much load you can run motor continuously for several hours. Whatever the temperature produced by motor, it will not damage winding resistance, winding insulation. Okay, but beyond this also you can load motor, you can run motor, but very short duration. C to A also you can run motor, but for very short duration. If you are running C to A motor continuously for more time, whatever the temperature produced, it can damage winding insulation. Okay, so O to C continuously, but C to A for short duration. Beyond A, you can't run motor, unstable region, because beyond A, point A, still you are loading motor, whatever the temperature produced, it damage winding insulation. That's why this is called as unstable region. Clear up to this to all of you? So maximum torque, starting torque. Now what's about full load torque? Here if you observe, I have shown full load torque is greater than starting torque. Reverse also can be possible. Okay, that depends on rotor resistance. So depending on rotor resistance, full load torque can be greater than starting torque or less. Okay, so clear torque slip characteristics question on this get are explain torque slip characteristics of three-phase induction motor or draw torque slip characteristics of three-phase induction motor. Clear to everyone? Can we go for next parameter? Clear? Got this characteristics everyone? Okay. So we'll see the next one point now. What we have seen effect of next one is same, it is torque slip characteristics only. Next one graph also if you observe it's a torque slip characteristics. Only same nature, all of you can see initially it is linearly increasing reaching maximum and then start to decrease, and this is the starting torque when slip is 1. Okay, same thing, same behavior, only in this graph what we are going to see effect of rotor resistance on starting torque. Rotor resistance in which type we can change? Yes, rotor resistance in which type it is constant and in which type it is you can change. Rotor resistance in which type we can change? Two types of three-phase induction motor we have seen. Squirrel cage and slip ring. So in which type we can change rotor resistance? Very good. In slip ring type we can change rotor resistance. But what's about squirrel cage? Once it get designed, you can't change its rotor resistance. Very good, 34. Okay. So in slip ring induction motor, you can change rotor resistance. So if you observe the graph here, see, initially resistance was R2, then you increased it R2 suffix 2, means in second case. That's why I have written R2 suffix 2. In third case, R2 suffix 3. If you observe resistance, we go on increasing. See here, resistance we go on increasing. So if you go on increasing resistance, what happens with starting torque? Observe, this is the starting torque produced in first case for R2 suffix 2. This is the starting torque for third one resistance. This one is the starting torque. So observe this and tell me, if you go on increasing rotor resistance, what occurs with starting torque? See the equations. Increases, decreases, remains constant. Rotor resistance, if you are increasing respective torque. See here everything is written. Respective torque produced by motor increases or decreases. Observe the equations. Increases. Okay, it increases. All of you can see here. See, R2 you are increasing, starting torque produced by motor increases, and that is possible only with slip ring induction motor. Same thing represented over here. See, this is the first one case, this one starting torque with R2, this is the starting torque, this one is the magnitude, this one magnitude. Okay, observe the second case now. This is the second case, this is the starting torque increases, again you increased resistance, again starting torque produced by motor, its magnitude increased. Okay, behavior is same, but starting torque, its magnitude is increased. And when starting torque, suppose at start you want to produce maximum torque, then what is the condition? R2 should be equals to X2. Okay, this one I told you just now, when R2 and X2 becomes equal, whatever the torque produced by motor, that is maximum. Okay, now if you observe starting torque is increasing, but in all the cases, this is the maximum torque. Observe it, magnitude of maximum torque in all the cases is same or different. Initially resistance was R2, then in second case more than 8, in third case more than 8. So starting torque produced by motor increases. But observe the maximum torque produced by motor, its magnitude in all the cases is same or different. I am asking you, maximum torque, its magnitude in all the cases is same or different? Same hai. Very good. Okay, same hai. Okay, all of you can see, even if you increase the rotor resistance, what occurs? Only torque produced at start increases. But what's about maximum torque produced by motor remains constant. Okay, what is the difference? Only if you observe, maximum torque is occurring at this slip. In second case, it is occurring at some different slip, and in third case also at different slip. Okay, clear to all of you? Okay, what we are going to see here, effect of rotor resistance on torque produced by motor. And rotor resistance you can change only in slip ring. So as you go on increasing rotor resistance, starting torque produced by motor, its magnitude increases. Maximum torque produced by motor remains same in all the cases, but the slip at which maximum torque occurring in every case is different. Again the same thing here. Here it is S is equals to 1, here S is 0, torque along y-axis and slip along x-axis. Clear this topic to all of you? Okay, torque slip characteristics of three-phase induction motor we have seen earlier one, and next one we have seen the effect of rotor resistance on torque slip characteristics. Okay, now we'll see the numericals on this. Okay, no, not numerical. First one, power flow diagram of three-phase induction motor. Okay, so can everyone see next one sheet? PDF, three-phase induction motor losses. This sheet can everyone see? Yes? Anyone reply? Okay, fine. Okay, now tell me, till that I'll take attendance. Now you tell me, in three-phase induction motor, which losses takes place? Tell me here which losses takes place in three-phase induction motor. Till that I'll take attendance. It's 21st of April. Yours is L division and 46 only there. Why less attendance? 46 only are there. If you attend lecture, it becomes easy to all of you to study. Okay. Less time it will take. Okay. So see here, which losses takes place in three-phase induction motor? Hysteresis loss, eddy current loss, mechanical losses. What else? Very good. Eddy current loss correct, hysteresis loss correct, mechanical losses correct. Very good. Apart from this, which one is the main loss that is left? And that is more. Compared to all this, hysteresis, eddy current and mechanical, that losses are more. Which one are these? Which one loss left? Same, whatever we have seen in transformer, copper loss. Very good. Okay. So copper loss and hysteresis and eddy current loss. Very good. Now you tell me, in this, which one is constant? Which one loss is constant? Which one loss is called as constant loss? No, not copper loss. If you change, which one loss is constant? Eddy current loss, hysteresis loss, constant losses. Okay. And mechanical losses also here assume constant because change not much. And which one is called variable loss? Which one loss is called as variable loss? Copper loss. Very good. Okay. Same, whatever we have seen in transformer, same thing here. Now we'll see why that loss is constant and why that another loss is variable. Okay. Now you tell me copper loss, where it takes place. Okay, so what is the conclusion? Which losses? Copper loss and core loss. Core loss is called as iron loss, which is hysteresis and eddy current loss. And also mechanical losses are also there, like friction at bearings, air gap is there between stator and rotor. So due to air friction, whatever the loss takes place, windage loss. Okay, that comes under mechanical losses. Which one losses comes under mechanical losses? Losses due to friction at bearings, then losses because of windage. Okay, windage loss, that is due to air friction. These are the losses. Very good. Now you tell me where copper loss takes place in three-phase induction motor. Where copper loss takes place in three-phase induction motor. Copper loss surface. Where copper loss takes place? Windings. Very good. Okay, copper loss takes place in windings. Where windings are there? Very good. Copper loss takes place in windings. Where windings you find in three-phase induction motor? We have seen construction. On stator windings are there, on rotor windings are there, or bars are there. Even if bars you are using, then also copper loss will be there. Okay, so stator copper loss and rotor copper loss. As you go on changing load on three-phase induction motor, as input voltage remains always constant, it takes more and more current to produce more torque for increased load. That's why I square R is the copper loss. As current changes, copper loss is called as variable loss. Clear? With the change in load, current changes to produce more torque or to produce changing torque. So I square R loss, copper loss, variable loss, which takes place rotor copper loss and stator copper loss. Clear? Now tell me where the core loss, that is iron loss, that is hysteresis and eddy current loss, where it takes place? In three-phase induction motor, what do you think, where it takes place? Hysteresis loss and eddy current loss. It takes place in core, that is magnetic material. Now where the magnetic material are used in three-phase induction motor? Stator core, rotor core, right? Rotor core and stator core, these are made up of magnetic materials. Stator core of silicon steel, rotor core cast iron. Got it? Okay, so stator core and rotor core. In this core loss, that is iron loss, that is hysteresis and eddy current loss takes place. Now both the losses depends on supply frequency. Hysteresis loss and eddy current loss, both losses depends on supply frequency. Now we have seen slip and frequency, everything. Now for stator side, what is the frequency? How much is the frequency stator side in India? Yes, same as that of supply frequency. And what is the value of supply frequency? 50 hertz. Got it? And what is the frequency in running condition rotor side? Under running condition, what is the frequency rotor side? Yesterday we have seen numerical. In that numerical we have seen formula. Fr is equals to what? F into Fr is equals to what? F into S. Okay, F into S. Got it? So Fr is equals to F into S. That's why rotor side frequency, if you remember in that numerical, stator side supply frequency 50 hertz. Rotor side S times F, we got 1.5 hertz. Okay, which is very less. That's why which one core losses more? Stator side core losses are more or rotor side core losses are more? Which one side? Stator side. Very good. And compared to stator side core loss, rotor core losses are very less, as frequency is very less. That's why in power flow diagram of three-phase induction motor, we are going to neglect rotor side copper losses. Rotor side core losses. Clear? Okay, so this is about the losses of three-phase induction motor. See here I have written constant losses. One is core loss, which takes place in stator core also and rotor core also. These are the core loss, iron loss, nothing but eddy current and hysteresis loss. Same thing here, eddy current and hysteresis loss. Now stator side frequency is more, that's why these losses are more. Rotor side frequency is very less, that is S times F under running condition. That's why core losses are very less. That's why rotor core loss in power flow diagram we are going to neglect. Only stator core loss will consider. And which one another constant loss? Mechanical losses, which is because of friction at bearings and due to air friction, that is windage losses. And this one also we are going to consider. Clear? So which constant losses takes place in three-phase induction motor? Stator core loss, rotor core loss and mechanical losses. Out of this we are going to neglect rotor copper loss as it is very less. So in power flow diagram you will find constant losses only mechanical losses and stator core losses only considered. Clear? Now another loss is variable. Which one is variable loss? This is about the constant losses. Variable loss is which one? Copper loss, which takes place in stator also and in rotor also. Okay, now we'll go for the three-phase induction motor, its power flow diagram. Question on this you will get asked. Every numericals will definitely be there on this topic. Everyone listen. MCQ question also, 4 mark also, 6 mark question also, or you will get asked draw and explain power flow diagram of three-phase induction motor, or derivation on this. Derive P2 S to PC S to PM is 1 S to SS to 1 minus S. Okay, like this questions. Numericals or draw diagram or derive this. Very important topic. Clear? What is the input for three-phase induction motor? Yes, it's a three-phase electrical power input where we have seen construction, okay, working principle, where we know it's a three-phase AC induction motor. Motor hai, so electrical is three-phase AC input, it converts it into mechanical output. So this three-phase AC electrical input, where we give it to its stator or its rotor, where this three-phase AC electrical input is given to its stator. Very good. Okay. Now what stator does? It produces rotating magnetic field. Now what is the formula for three-phase AC electrical input? We have studied in 4th unit. Three-phase AC circuits we have studied. Okay. So what is the formula for three-phase AC electrical input? If you remember, it's a three-phase AC electrical input which is given to stator. Okay, formula is root 3 VL IL cos phi, or 3 times VPH IPH cos phi. Clear? Now you tell me whatever the input you give to stator, 100% stator will deliver to rotor or less, because it produces rotating magnetic field. Then that comes in contact with rotor, then as per Faraday's, very good, less. So where that drop will be, or where that input, some percentage of input is utilized to what? Stator losses. And what are the stator losses? Copper loss and core loss. Clear? Okay. So whatever the input you give to stator, root 3 VL IL cos phi watt or kilowatt, not 100% delivered to rotor. Some percentage of it is utilized to overcome stator losses, stator copper loss and stator core loss. Clear? Okay. So what we can say here, whatever the input, see here formula written, whatever the input you give to stator minus stator copper loss and core loss is the input to rotor. Input to rotor or stator output, same it is. Output of stator is input to rotor. How it is marked? Yes, which one variable is used for rotor input? See the diagram. Which one variable is used for stator output, that is rotor input? Both are same. stator output, rotor input, both are same. Which one variable is used? P2. Very good. Okay. So P2 is the input to rotor. Okay. That is stator output. Got it. Now, whatever the input you give to rotor, again, it will not convert it into 100% mechanical output. Some percentage of it is utilized to overcome rotor losses. Core losses we neglect. Okay, so rotor copper loss. Which one symbol is used here? See, which one symbol is used for rotor copper loss? Observe this one box. Which one is the symbol used for rotor copper loss? P suffix C. Okay, rotor copper loss takes place and the rest is converted into mechanical output. So gross mechanical power developed by rotor is marked as PM. Symbol you observe, P2 input to rotor, PC rotor copper loss, PM gross mechanical power developed by rotor. So what is the relationship between P2, PC and PM? P2 minus PC is PM. Clear up to this to all of you? Okay. Now here see, here formula written, PC rotor copper loss 3 times I2 square means I2R square into R2. This is the formula which one you can use only for slip ring. Okay. Because 3 times means what? R phase, Y phase and B phase. 3 windings are there on rotor in slip ring. Otherwise, if it is a slip ring induction motor given to you in the numerical, then they will give you R2 and I2R. Then using this formula, you can calculate rotor copper loss. But if it is a squirrel cage type, then directly this total copper loss they will give you. Okay, clear. Now what occurs? Whatever the gross mechanical power rotor develops, not 100% is applied to load. Some percentage of this gross mechanical power developed by rotor is utilized to overcome mechanical losses. That is because of friction at bearings, because of air friction, that is windage losses. So these losses we are going to assume constant. Okay. Mechanical losses, constant loss, and stator core loss is constant loss. Clear? Okay. So PM minus mechanical losses is the P output, which is HP rating of motor, or it is called as useful power or shaft power. Clear? Power flow diagram. So what equation we can write here? PM minus mechanical losses is P output. Okay. Output we have seen TSH into omega in DC machines. P output in nameplate. Whatever the power rating given, it is nothing but it's a useful power, shaft power, HP rating of motor. Clear? Okay. So power flow diagram clear, everyone? Have you got it? Okay. Input root 3 VLIL cos phi. Again, I will repeat. Input root 3 VLIL cos phi, not 100% applied to rotor. Some percentage of it is utilized to overcome stator and copper loss. Okay, stator loss and copper loss, stator core loss and copper loss. And the rest is applied to rotor. Okay. It is the input to rotor is P2. So P2 is P input minus stator losses, copper loss and core loss. Stator core loss is constant loss. Stator copper loss is variable loss. Okay. Now again, whatever the input you give to rotor minus rotor copper loss is gross mechanical power developed by rotor. Whatever the input you give, some percentage is utilized to overcome rotor loss. Now rotor core loss we are going to neglect because frequency of rotor is very less, and rotor copper loss are denoted by PC. So P2 minus PC is PM. PM is gross mechanical power developed by rotor. Now, whatever the gross mechanical power it develops, some percentage of it is utilized to overcome mechanical losses and the rest is applied to load. Clear all the things here? Now, what is the input to motor? P input, root 3 VL IL cos phi. What is output? P output. So if you take ratio P output by P input, what you will get? Efficiency of three-phase induction motor. Clear how to calculate efficiency of three-phase induction motor? Now if you observe rotor here, what is the input to rotor? P2. What is the output of rotor? PM. So PM by P2 is what? Efficiency of rotor. Clear up to this to all of you? Okay. Okay. Can we see now the next one, derivation? Can we go for next topic? You have time, na? 10 minutes, or otherwise I will end meeting. Do you have time? If you have time, 10 minutes, I'll further wanted to continue with this derivation. Can I continue? Yes. Can I continue with derivation? 10 minutes more? Okay. Okay. So see here, we are going to see now relationship between P2, PC and PM. Okay. So here see, now just one thing you tell me. This one derivation also you get asked. If not derivation, then numerical will definitely be there on it. Okay, so everyone have to listen carefully. So see here, stator delivers power to rotor P2. At what speed? You tell me. Stator produces rotating magnetic field. Rotating magnetic field, at what speed it rotates? What is the speed of rotating magnetic field? What is the speed of rotating magnetic field? Ns. Very good. Okay, Ns is a rotating magnetic field. Its speed. Very good. Means stator delivers power to rotor at what speed? Ns. Okay, omega. We use the formula of omega 2 pi n by 60. So here omega we can use 2 pi ns by 60. Now then rotor starts to rotate. At what speed rotor rotate? Capital N. So rotor delivers power to load. So at what speed rotor will deliver power to load? N, right? Rotor delivers power to load at N. This is the two things you have to use in derivation. Formula we all know. P is equals to T omega. In fourth unit also in elementary concept we have used P is equals to T omega, where omega is 2 pi n by 16 radian per second. Okay. Now observe P2. What is P2? What is P2? Is it an input from stator to rotor? Right? Okay. It's a output. P2 is output of stator, that is input to rotor. At T omega, at what speed it is given? At speed ns. That's why T into 2 pi ns by 60. What is PM? It's a gross mechanical power developed by rotor, which is equals to again T omega. But speed of rotor is what? N. That's why you will get 2 pi n by 60. Clear up to this? Now we know relationship PC is equals to P2 minus PM. Put these values here. Put these values here, P2 and PM, both values put in this equation. You will, after simplifying, you will get T into 2 pi by 60 ns minus n. Now what we wanted to derive? We wanted to derive P2 as to PC as to PM is equals to 1 as to S as to 1 minus S. Any of this you will get asked in exam. That is, derive P2 by PC is 1 by S, or PC by PM is S by 1 minus S. So first of all, we'll derive this one P2 by PC. So take the ratio of P2 by PC. You have formula of P2, you have formula of PM, you have formula of PC. Take now ratio. So you can take P2 by PC or PC by P2. Here I have taken PC by P2. Okay. So put the values. PC you have, P2 you have. Put these values. Common parameter will cancel. You will get ns minus n upon ns. What is ns minus n upon ns? What is it? What is ns minus n upon ns? It is called as slip. Okay, slip of induction motor. Got it? PC by P2 is S, nothing but P2 by PC is 1 minus 1 by S. Got it? Again, we want in terms of PM also. So P2 minus PC is equals to PM. Put here values. This one relationship we put here. Okay. So replace PC. PC is what? S times P2. Replace. Simplify it. So what you will get? P2 by PM is 1 by S. Clear? So if you observe this, both the equations, P2 by PC 1 by S and P2 by PM is 1 by 1 minus S. So what you will get? P2 S to PC S to PM is 1 S to SS to 1 minus S. Got the derivation? Clear all of you? Yes? Everyone got the derivation? Very easy. All of you got it? Means sometimes you have to, in numericals, you have to use this relationship, or they ask, derive P2S to PC is 1 by S, or PCS to PM is S by 1 by S, or P2S to PM is 1 divided by 1 minus S. Clear this derivation? Okay. So in next lecture, now we'll see the numericals on this. Clear? So today what we have seen, torque slip characteristics of three-phase induction motor, effect of rotor resistance on it, okay, effect of rotor resistance on torque produced by motor, and next one is power flow diagram and this derivation. Now based on this, we'll see the numericals in next lecture. Okay, now I'm going to finish it. Attendance is over. Okay, do study. Till yesterday I loaded all lectures. This one today's also I load on VOL. Okay, so tomorrow we'll see numericals on this power flow diagram.